Yeah, this government's gonna sign all that. I haven't heard. Is that for, that's for the kayak. Yeah, that's really, oh man, I can't wait till that happens.
Okay, it's 1 o'clock. I'm going to call the March 7th Board of Commissioner meeting to order. We will start out with the prayer from Commissioner Hebling and the pledge from Commissioner Ehart.
Our Heavenly Father, we thank you that we can come before you and come to this meeting today and discuss and review and vote on the things of our county. And Lord, again, as we've said many times, we pray before we pray and we ask for your guidance as we make these decisions. And Lord, we thank you for a free country that we can come and make the decisions as a community, as elected officials. We give you the honor and the glory in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Leslie, roll call, please.
District 1 Chairman John Block.
Present.
District 2 Commissioner Roger Ballard.
Present.
District 3 Commissioner Gary Heberlin.
Present.
District 4 Commissioner Bill Zarkella.
Here.
District 5 Commissioner Christine Lee. Here. District 6 Commissioner Evans Ehart.
Present.
District 7 Commissioner John Moody.
Here.
Thank you, Leslie.
You're welcome.
Okay, before we move on to adopting our agenda, we have a full house here today. Clearly appreciate everyone's attendance. We do have a few presentations today, so if everybody works with us, we'll move through this as efficiently as possible. At this time, if there are no additions, corrections, or deletions to today's agenda, I'll entertain a motion to adopt the agenda as presented. So moved. Support. We have a motion from Commissioner Ballard, support from Commissioner Ehart to adopt the agenda. Is there discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Agenda is adopted. If there are no corrections to our meeting minutes from February 21st, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Support.
We have a motion from Commissioner Heberlin, support from Commissioner Lee. Is there discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Under correspondence, everybody has gotten a sheet here from Beckett and Rader. This was sent to me today. This is kind of a up and coming topic that we're going to have a brief discussion on. This 2-page piece of paper is kind of an overview of a meeting that happened yesterday that we want to inform the entire board about. The other packet of paper is what will be likely a large section of the master plan. And it kind of backs up what's in the first piece of paper. So what transpired is, and I guess I'll back up just a little bit so everyone in the room kind of has a concept of what's happening here. So Sand Lake County is in the process of adopting a new master plan. The master plan is a guidebook for all of us leaders here in the county to decide what to do for land use, development opportunities, all those sorts of things. So we've been in that process for Gary about a year now, you'd say.
Yeah, a good year. Yeah.
Typically master plans take about 12 months to complete. We are somewhat in unnormal times right now, still due to the government response to COVID. So we're thinking maybe another 2 to 3, maybe 6 months before we have it completed. Gary and I received an email from the consultant that we're working with on the master plan last Friday asking for an urgent meeting. It was related to this information you have in front of you, and it is related to alternative energy in the county. So as we all know, there's a big push on for alternative energy in the form of wind turbines or solar panels. And in Beckett and Rader's work on the economic impact of some of these issues within the county, they identified quite a large concern as it relates to large amounts of productive farmland being taken out of production and the economic impact that would then come with that. So the information you have in front of you will show, if I dig in here just a little bit, a 1% reduction in farmland usage in the county would equate to a $6.5 million negative impact to the economy. I think as we dive into this information a little further, there's even some more concern there. We're not quite prepared to get there yet. Beckett and Rader still working on the numbers, but it instigated the meeting that then happened yesterday where Gary, myself, Administrator Roski was involved, Scott Kenny, the chair of our planning commission, was involved. And it generated a conversation of what's the county's role in these types of issues and how do we deal with this? So everybody here knows that land use is dealt with at the township level. They're the ones that generate the ordinances and the land use restrictions. Here at the county level, we're more of a consultant, if you will. We're an assistant. We provide information, support, resources. So now that we're seeing this potential issue that could affect the whole county, we're looking at what things can the county do to be an assistant to share this information. This information needs to be shared with the community clearly. So out of that meeting yesterday, there was a discussion about creating a press release. I've already informed Mr. Levine here that as soon as we're able to put together really accurate numbers and we know exactly what this looks like, hopefully within a week or so, we'll get that press release out to the newspaper so that they can inform the general public of what we've learned. But beyond that, I've brought up this concept before about instructing our planning commission to develop some type of a guidebook or some type of information that we would then send to the townships. Strictly informational, but they need to know this information. So in a nutshell, what I'd like to see, and the other issue we deal with here, as we all know, and I'll steal Administrator Roski's good saying of government moves at a glacial pace. So we don't exactly have a ton of time here. So this information needs to be gotten out to those communities. So the thought that I had is having us direct the planning commission to develop a guidebook with Beckett and Rader being a consultant to assist us doing that. I would like to get that started immediately. But rather than just having this be created and just go out to the townships, I think it best to have a check and balances in it, if you will. So I'd like to see this develop quickly, but then land at our county planning commission in 2 weeks from today and have them review it. And if they so choose, approve it to be sent out for distribution. So that is kind of in a nutshell what has transpired, the reason why we're bringing this up now. And then also because of this issue, we'd like to see the planning commission develop something, and Beckett and Rader, of course, for a fee, I'm sure is willing to assist us in developing that. But it could be a document that townships could utilize to understand some of the larger impacts of the decisions that they make. So it's not opposed to solar development. It is, if you decide to develop farm ground into solar, you're going to be causing an economic impact on the agribusiness, which
A negative impact.
a negative one. And Beckett and Rader, in this meeting we had yesterday, Rowan went through the financials with us and kind of helped us understand agribusiness is an enormous part of the economy here in Sanilac County, and it affects everybody in this room. All of our jobs, our businesses are all reliant on the dollars that could get turned around in the economy. And this is something that they thought to be of such concern that they wanted to reach out to us immediately about it. So, and I would say there was a bit of urgency in the meeting yesterday, Gary. Would you agree
I
with
would
that?
say 100% urgency. Yeah. No.
So I hope I effectively outlined kind of what transpired and what course of action I'd like to see happen. Gary, are you agreeable to?
Yeah, I think you laid it out in layman's terminology. Everybody can understand it. We're not taking sides, and it would be an injustice from our part, from Nathan, from Scott, John, and I, and the commissioners, if we didn't get this information out, because it is valid information. And definitely it's going to have a negative impact. Whether what you do with it, that's up to you, or up to the township. But if we didn't give you this information, because clearly it will cause a negative impact based on the facts and the studies they've done. So I think you've done as good a job of laying that out as anybody. And for me to ramble on anymore, it probably wouldn't serve any purpose. So,
okay. So I don't need a motion for us to move forward with this. All I would ask is consensus of the board. If everybody's agreeable to this course of action, we'll immediately start working on it. So I guess short of any dissension, I'll assume that we have consensus here. Roger,
I agree 100%.
I approve.
It's a shame we didn't have this information or before for some other townships that are
right
having issues.
Well, and I know we have some townships that are on the cusp of working on some ordinances that this will directly affect. And that's where we're going to try to go to extraordinary lengths to try to get this information to them as fast as possible. And I think moving forward on getting this packet built and getting it approved by the planning commission in 2 weeks is about as fast as you're going to get something done. So.
John, I know we probably don't want to get into facts that we don't know, but I think in the meeting yesterday, if I remember the number, that monetary negative effect could be, was it 6 million?
6.5 million negative effect
a year. And that could go on, that's the early facts we've been presented with. That may change down the road, but And I'm not trying to scare anyone or John or anybody. We're based off facts that we've been given.
And this is, it is a good example of why we went down the path of adopting and developing a new master plan. We would have never have known this kind of information if we hadn't gone down this path. So I'm glad we did that and we've got it. Now we know what to do with it. So if everybody's agreeable, that's the direction we'll go.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Does anybody on the board have any questions related to anything we just discussed? Okay, hearing none. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate your support moving forward with that. We will move into commissioner reports and we will start with Commissioner Moody.
Went to the Fremont Township Planning Commission meeting a couple weeks ago. They were discussing their solar ordinance, just going page by page, reading through it, making sure everything was the way they wanted it with their attorney. And I don't have any other ones for that, but I wanted to mention that the sheriff's office is having a career open house for looking for corrections officers on Saturday, March 25th from 10 to 2. So they're looking to see if they can get some people. So if anybody knows anybody who wants to be a corrections officer, there is, I think, 4 or 5 openings over there right now. So
Do they train?
what that?
Training.
Yeah, they're gonna do some, if paid, it's all paid training.
Yeah.
There's
that
doing
take?
some testing that day if people come in to do it and there's a pre-test that you take before they would move on with interviews, but so they're
That's going to take place at the sheriff's.
right at the sheriff's office. Yep.
Are they provide lunch or something there too, John, for that? Or didn't specify?
I'm not sure about that. I don't believe so. It's from 10 to 2. It's like an open house style though.
Okay.
So they want to bring in their resumes and dress the part, and they can probably have an interview that day.
Might even get a key that day.
If they're lucky.
Very good. Is that all you had, John?
On Saturday, April 29th, the Shot with the Hero bowling tournament or Scotch doubles tournament is that day at Liberty Lanes. It's $30 a couple. It starts at 6 o'clock. If you have any more questions, you can contact Amanda at the sheriff's office.
Thank you, John.
Yep.
Evans?
Went to a couple council meetings past couple weeks. Croswell's council meeting. Biggest thing they're working on is a new wastewater treatment expansion grant. They're trying to work out the details with that and how long that's going to go for. Lexington, nothing much new than I said last time, but I was told that Gilos is expanding the pickle factory, so bigger business in that town, I guess. But besides that, nothing else prudent information.
Okay, thank you, Evans. I myself attended a Minden Township board meeting last night. They're in the process of working on a solar ordinance in Minden Township. So with this information that we're now learning at the county will be pertinent to that. Beyond that, it was normal township matters. Briefly, I just want to go back to the Beckett and Rader thing. There was one item there I forgot to mention, and I'd like to mention it when we have all these people here, especially I see some faces from other townships. There's one other avenue that we're looking at, and Scott, you're here. So Eagle is providing $25,000 per applicant grants for the energy ordinances. And Beckett and Rader, well, you were in the meeting yesterday, they're potentially going to be able to assist townships with potentially securing this grant. So I just want everyone to know this is something else that we're going to try to do as a county, is find a way if we can provide an opportunity for townships to actually find a funding source for developing these ordinances as well. So not only are we going to be assisting them with information, but hopefully assisting them with methods of obtaining some, because ordinances, master plans, these things are expensive. So if we can find a way, and through the meeting we had yesterday, it was indicated to us that it would be highly likely that municipalities within St. Lake County would qualify for those. So that's all I have for commissioner reports.
John, can I ask a question on that? Sure. Is that also available for amending ordinances, changing ordinances?
You know, that's an excellent question. I would certainly think so, that because the whole point of what Eagle's trying to do is they want people to have up-to-date energy ordinances. And I mean, if some are outdated. So I think Nathan and I need to dive into this a little bit deeper and get a little bit more information, but I would definitely be sharing that it's plausible either way until we find out differently.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, that's all I have. Christine?
I only had attended one meeting And that was Maple Valley Township, and now they were discussing getting ready for the board of review. I did not make it to Elk Township because that was the night the ice storm was coming through. That's it.
Oh, thank you, Christine.
Buell Township is assisting Watertown with their master plan, and they've had a deputy clerk applicant, so they've had some folks interested in some of the vacant positions that they have. Very appreciative of the welcome packet that Leslie's office sends out to the clerks. So in regards to what they need to do at their position, and then they were also very appreciative of the MTA meeting that they attended in regards to blight ordinances. The sheriff was there and did a real good presentation for all the folks from the townships that attended that. And then Applegate last night, they've been working with the court here locally to obtain a ownership of abandoned home that they finally approved. So our court did a really good job assisting them with that. And they're going to be able to tear that down. They're putting out bids for an RFP right now. And then their fire department has been receiving some grants in regards to this funding issues. So I've been telling everybody, we get updates through Michigan Association of Counties, and the Gary Sinise Foundation is out there, and they give money away for the fire departments for rural and also small departments. So there's equipment and so forth that they can get by applying at his foundation. If anybody doesn't know, Gary Sinise was Lieutenant Dan in Forrest Gump. He works a lot with veterans as well. So that's all I have.
Very good. Thank you, Bill. Gary?
Attended Moore Township meeting last week. Some of the topics discussed, they are in the process and close to completing a new BSNA software for their cemetery. That's plot planning, open plots, cost and effective, and et cetera. They talked about blight. I know Leslie, the clerk, attended the meeting. I think a week ago, they talked about the civil infractions of blight and what officers could implement those infractions, and they're still working on that. Blight is, every township has the same problem, right? It's one thing to have it, one thing to oversee it, and so there's some good things come out of that. And they're also working on submitting their poverty guidelines. It's required by the state for 223. And then that was brought up that there was a company, Bear Peak, I believe, out of Denver, was sending letters out about energy in their township. So, end of my report. Oh, by the way, if I can add this, tonight at Sandusky Fire Hall, they're having a soup supper to benefit the fire department, and I believe you guys had one Saturday night for similar. End of my report.
Thanks, Gary. Roger?
I attended Argyle Township's meeting last week. Their main topic was the approval and awarding of the bid to rebuild Bowling Green Road. That was awarded to the San Luis County Road Commission. I believe with the cost share on that from the Road Commission, the cost of the township would be $112,000 and some change per mile of road.
What road is that there?
Bowling Green.
Paved? Is it paved?
No, gravel.
Really?
Yep,
Must be doing some serious repairs.
they are. Yeah, ditching and tiling. Last night I attended the City of Marlette meeting. It was quite a meeting. They had one citizen there that was quite concerned with the way the pool has operated for years as a deficit, at a deficit. They're continuing work on it. They received a grant, Spark grant, to do a walking trail, some playground equipment, different things like that. They also had previously received a grant, recreation passport, I believe it was, to do a new pool house. They are gaining ground on getting the pool fixed correctly by the company that installed it. So that'll be a good thing. The pool probably will not open this year due to the construction going on. They discussed the assessor contract. They tabled that till next month. And they are down to 2 fire hydrants out of 137 that need repair, and they're waiting for parts on those. And that's about it for those reports.
Thanks, Roger.
Yep.
Appreciate everyone's commissioner reports. At this time, I'll ask Nathan for his administrator's report.
Thank you. This morning I had a management team meeting with the department heads. Things went well. We had some discussion about employee retention, development practices for employees, and some policy issues that we wanted to resolved. So that was a good meeting. Received word yesterday that the county had applied for a couple grants for, one was for these card swipe and another was for we were awarded those grants, so 50% of the funding for those projects would be covered by through the grants. So that was good news. Working on another grant opportunity for the recycling center. We've had some discussions. We would like to get the rest of the parking lot paved. There is a grant opportunity out there, so we're going to be putting some information together and getting that out, and hopefully we'll be able to get the rest of the facility paved. So, and then we have an upcoming opportunity we're going to take part in. A few of us through the county. I know the sheriff's department, corrections, juvenile probation, the courts, and myself are going to attend Sandusky High School. They're doing a career fair for kids to get them. They're going to have employers there and try to expose them to different career opportunities. So we thought it'd be a good chance to get the county's employment opportunities out there. So
That's excellent.
we're going to do that as well. All right.
Is that this month? Did you say?
That's the 16th. Yes.
Is that the one Michigan Works is?
That is not, that is separate. The Michigan Works one actually fell on the same day as, it's the 21st, same day as one of our meetings. So I won't be able to attend that one.
Nate, with that grant for, go ahead, sorry. With that grant for recycle, when I was still on that board, we talked about expanding the square footage a little bit of what we're going to repave. So we had a bigger space. Is that still part of that, or is it just paving what we have already?
Yeah, so the whole middle section of the lot, we would like to, there's the cement pads now that fall in front of the baskets, if you will.
Yeah.
And we would like to pave everything up to those cement pads and then over in front of the building where they do the recycling. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
The grants that you had for the camera upgrades and stuff, who was that through?
That was through our insurance, our risk liability insurance provider, MMRMA.
Yeah. Yep. Any further questions for Nathan? Hearing none, we'll move on. Thank you for your report, Nathan.
Yep.
Being as we have a large crowd today, I'll cover public comment with everybody. So there are two opportunities for public comment on our agenda today. The first one is now, and that pertains to agenda items only. So if anybody has anything they want to address the board about pertaining to today's agenda, that would be the opportunity to do that. If you have general public comments, those are 19 on our agenda. It's right before we adjourn the meeting. So with that said, at this time, are there any public comments pertaining to today's agenda? Seeing none, we will move on to a presentation from Brian Bellware from Gibson Insurance. Brian, welcome. Good to have you here.
Good afternoon, commissioners. Appreciate your prayer to get us started. Very much appreciate it. Thank you for that. So again, my name is Brian Bellware. I am the managing principal for Gibson Insurance. I oversee our Michigan market, and I'm also the primary representative and benefit consultant serving Sanilac County. So we are thrilled to have the opportunity to continue to support Sanilac County as an employee benefit broker. So I'll make my comments brief today. I want to highlight a few of the exciting initiatives that we have been working with Nathan and Jody and the team to begin evaluation as we come up to the upcoming renewal cycle. But before I do that, I want to just briefly highlight a few of the things that we have accomplished over the past 3 years that we've been working with Sanilac County. So because we've accomplished a lot, we've undertaken a lot of significant initiatives. So we were brought on in 2020, and in 2021, we successfully navigated a transition from fully insured to self-insured for the group health plan. That was a huge undertaking, both from an administrative standpoint, also a big change for the employees and their members of the county. With that transition, we have implemented best-in-class solution partners, both at the third-party administrator level. We're accessing a national well-recognized Aetna network. We have a best-in-class care navigation, which is a customer service and patient advocacy platform for the employees. And we have directly contracted with a pharmacy program for the county. All of those things have led to significant financial savings and impact for the county in the 3 years that we have been implementing those. And Nathan and Jody have those specific figures that we've reported out during our most recent meeting with them. But also it has a significant impact from a quality of care and an overall member experience as well. So the financial savings are certainly welcome, and but they're also having a health impact relative to how employees are experiencing healthcare. So with that, we also are purchasing what's called stop loss insurance. Stop loss, for those of you that don't know, is the catastrophic coverage. So the insurance that's covering the major expenses through a group buying coalition or group health captive. And what that means is that the county, as an organization, is self-insuring, not as if you were a 160 life organization, but as if you were a 30,000 life organization. So what that does is it brings greater stability to your year-over-year costs, because we're spreading the risk of your healthcare claims amongst a bigger group of folks. So that's a significant impact. You also have one of the best stop loss contracts available to you in the market today. So we have accomplished a lot. In that time, we've really built a foundation for good long-term health benefit. And that's a lot of the work that we're doing is really building the foundation. So what we're focused on going forward is a couple initiatives to build upon that. One is we have been working with McKenzie Health System here locally and have established a direct contract rate schedule. So we have a signed contract by the McKenzie leadership team, a rate schedule. We're going through the process right now of evaluating the financial impact on the county to adopt that schedule, which would give employees the opportunity to go to McKenzie at lower costs for them and their family, and overall improving the overall financial cost for the county's health plan. So that's one really exciting initiative. It also brings McKenzie Health System to the table as a partner of the county. So trying to keep care locally where it makes sense. Obviously, McKenzie can't do every healthcare service, but where it makes sense, we want to keep care here locally in the county. And partnering with McKenzie is a great way to do that. We're also exploring national centers of excellence for more of the catastrophic type of care. So a lot of the care that can't be done locally, more complex cancer care, organ transplants, heart, ortho, those types of things. We have a contract with the National Centers of Excellence. So these are the premier world-class healthcare providers in the world, including Mayo Clinic, Cleveland Clinic, the Andrews Institute down in Florida for ortho. All of these types of places, we're going to have your employees will have the ability to take advantage of these at no cost to them and have improved access to care. So that's a really exciting initiative as well. We're exploring a maternity management program. One of the major drivers of claims for the county's health plan is preemie babies and more complex births. So we're exploring some maternity management programs to help mitigate some of those high-risk cares, high-risk healthcare services. We've also had great success with the pharmacy program, but we're not resting on our laurels with that. We're going to take that out and evaluate it in the market to make sure that we have the best contract and the best arrangement from a pharmacy standpoint. So that's a part of just a due diligence that we're going to do this year to really make sure that we've got the best pharmacy program available for you. And then last, we're exploring again a purely voluntary opportunity for individuals that are qualified that have high risk to take advantage of individual marketplace through a reimbursement opportunity. So again, it's a strategy that we can begin to mitigate the risk that's on the group health plan and begin to lower costs while improving the value for the member. So those are just a handful of things that we're in the process of exploring right now through our partnership. And these are all really exciting things. They're innovative things and really puts the county in a leadership position in terms of what rural counties are doing to really manage this healthcare risk that everybody's feeling the impact of across the country. So, so again, we're thrilled for the opportunity to continue that partnership. Appreciate the opportunity to present to you today.
Thank you. Good report. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for Brian?
Just a comment. we recently had a park employee, full-time employee resign, and in her exit interview, I was informed that she said our insurance was excellent. And that was good to hear.
And to anybody listening, we're looking for corrections officers and we got great insurance.
There you go. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you. You have a good rest of your day. Okay, at this time, we're going to have a presentation from Jerry Johnson, the MSU Extension Director. Jerry, welcome. Good to see you.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate your new design. And here I am.
It's all spruced up now. Looks a
It
little.
is.
We did that just for you, right?
Feel special.
Sounded good anyway, right?
Feel special. I'm joined today, by the way, by Betty Jo Krasnicki. She's our supervising educator for District 9 and 10 for 4-H. Back row, you can see Jared Jaborik. He's a AABI, PhD and educator for us, housed here locally. Mary Hayden, program coordinator, and then in a bit, I'll let Mary introduce a couple of our 4-H members who are here in attendance as well. Again, we have got new commissioners here. Fortunately, I met you all before. And what I was going to do is give you a quick this district update, kind of orientation, meet some folks, and then we'll get out of your hair. So kind of a sketch, District 10. So I have the 5 counties of the thumb. So St. Clair, Sanilac, Huron, Tuscola, and Lapeer. I would say that because a lot of times you'll want to network. It's likely I know your counterpart in the next county, and I'm happy to make those introductions if there's somebody you need to know. We've got, like 180 miles of shoreline in this district, which is not normal. We're really blessed by that. Easternmost point in Michigan lies in this district. International border crossing lies in this district. 2 of my counties have more cows than people. One of them is Sanilac, one is Huron. Huron County would be, the largest dry bean producer in Michigan and probably in the United States. Sanilac County, largest soybean producer in Michigan, certainly. I don't know where you fall nationally, but very, very high. You have an annual report in front of you, and I will not go through slides for you today, so you're welcome. But you can see there, and I'm going to give you a handout in a minute, where we do lots and lots of soybean trials, for example. We did 9 in Sanilac County. Nobody gets close to that. Most states get 0, and we do them here for a reason, because you're a very high soybean producer. Obviously, the knowledge can go to the other 82 counties, but we will do a lot of them here. Key challenges, because they really are similar in our 5 counties for District 10, would be employment. I just already heard it today. Housing, mental wellness, physical wellness, housing availability, which is almost a separate topic, workforce development, and workforce retention. And it's the same in all 5 counties. So there could be opportunities and synergies where you can work with neighboring counties. Probably the most aggressive one in District 10 is St. Clair County, but I also think the one that could benefit the most of the remaining 4 would be Sanilac County. So I think there's some opportunities there for some synergies available. 14 of the 33 commissioners in District 10 are brand new. 3 of 7 in this county are new, 6 of 7 in Lapeer, and then the others tail off from there. So you can imagine Lapeer has 6 of 7 new commissioners and a new county administrator. Well, a vacant position of county administrator they're looking. So it's tough some places, but it's going to be a little tougher there. All 14 commissioners from this district attended new commissioner school. Thank you to new commissioners Lee, Earhart, and Moody for attending, because we think it's great to meet you, but I think it gets you on the right foot, because I wouldn't know the first thing of what to do as a commissioner if you didn't go there. So other than relying on the experienced ones. District 10 had about a 4.3% participation rate programming for extension programs. Statewide average is probably 3%, and it's trending up. So that's a good thing. Locally here in Sanilac County, we added a new advisory board member. Speaking to the Sheriff's Department, Jeff Dawson joined us on our advisory board. He participated in the Q1 meeting, and our other Sanilac County advisory board members are Commissioner Sarfella and Melissa Anderson. We typically try to have at least 3. We have 3 from 4 of our counties. St. Clair will typically have 4 just because of population, but very helpful, very good group of people. I like that Sanilac has a commissioner on the board. A lot of counties don't have that. I think it's valuable. So I appreciate you doing that. We are going to be adding a new position to this county, no cost to you. It's a health and nutrition instructor for the SNAP program.
We have had that in the past. And everybody that's in our office has been pushing very hard for that, not just for District 10, but for Sanilac County. The poverty rate in Sanilac County is probably close to 15%, which would be the highest in District 10. The latest census was 14.5% for the 2020. So with that, I'm going to give you right now, maybe I'll pass around. This is, I give these to you periodically. This is your annual net of 4-H. You have programs in here, but it does not include your 800 or so kids that got involved in 4-H programs. That's over and above this. But we track this through our pair system, and this would be calendar year 2022. Folks that participated in a program, whether it was agriculture, tourism, community nutrition, any variety of areas that we provide education. Thanks. So I guess for what I will add is for our new commissioners is when you look at one of these issues like employment or housing or nutrition or fitness or mental wellness, if you think of extension, you should think, does education have a role in our solution for this? If it doesn't, you're probably not going to call us and ask us to get involved. But if you think education has a role in this, you should give us a call, because typically we can have answers or connected to different folks. We partner very closely with health departments in all of our counties for obvious reasons, because we do a lot of health education, and a lot of the programs that we provide, we're either the sole source or we're going to be the lowest cost source. For example, we've really established good programs in St. Clair, Tuscola, and we want to make inroads starting in Huron with the court system, where probation, people that are going to go on probation can go through a stress less with mindfulness course, which is accepted by the court system, or relaxed alternative to anger course, accepted by the court system. They can go find a private person and pay $800 to $1,000, or they can come take it from us and there's no cost. So again, very important. It's evidence-based. We can't come up with program activities. If it's not evidence-based, we can't do it. And then the other piece I'm going to leave with you, and I'm going to hand it off, is this was last year. I've given these to you in the past for different years. These are the soybean trials from last year statewide. So you can see where they all are, just a pictorial. Sorry, Bill's probably seen it. Sorry, Bill. You get to see it twice. You seen that before? Yeah.
Try connecting the dots.
There's two right there. If you could hand one to Commissioner Block.
Thank you.
You're passing that out. You brought up a point a couple times about housing, and if I can just pick your brain a little bit, what you meant by that. One of the things that Scott and I, John, have run into as we're part of the planning commission of the county, housing and jobs are a premium in our county. And one of the things that we found out is the state calculations for taxes for a new home is so high, it's prohibited a lot of people from moving forward, building a new home in our area. So I was just wondering what your take was. You mentioned a little bit about housing from Michigan State standpoint.
Yeah.
I'd just like to hear where you're at with that. And is there room to go to the state of Michigan or the Senate of Michigan and say, hey, it's killing us up here in our county? Is there something we can do with the taxes of a new home?
One is that part of that question is beyond my pay grade, and I'd go to the representative or senator, but I certainly heard the debate with there's an overage in tax receipts statewide. So that's the debate right now, is one party wants to give you a paycheck and one wants to reduce your taxes. And I'll leave it at that.
Okay.
We all have our own individual opinion, but that's a very high view of what the debate is right now. But you're right, they can't keep taxing at that high rate if they have an overage. But specifically in housing, though, we do, and Betty Jo would know about a lot of them too, but we do programs for first-time home buyers. We have a whole group in CFI, and I don't know if CY it is or not, but we help people go through the home buying process, and we can help them take the right steps. And I don't have that educator in this district. We bring them up into the county if needed for first-time home buyers. And a lot of counties have their own program for first-time home buyers. I know St. Clair does, where you can get some additional tax abatement or refunds if you're a first-time home buyer and qualifications. But if you have a specific one, ask, because I can run it through our institute, and I know a few of you in here, I know Commissioner Block is your earlier comment. I know we talked about solar and wind and, some of the studies. I didn't do the study, but I can find, if it was done at MSU, I can get my hands on it and get it to you.
Okay.
So good question. Betty Jo, did you know other housing related?
Yeah, I was just gonna
Education.
say, we do have in the CP Institute, several counties that have a housing educator who help homeowners go through that process. Financial literacy for both youth and adults.
Yeah, well, what we're finding, what we've, what we've looked into is it's a state calculation. And it's hard to get past the state calculation, maybe a city can help with water hookup or sewer hookup, but still the initial tax cost, it's affecting, people building homes,
Well, and Gary gets into that bigger discussion, and that's like your neighboring county in front page is St. Clair County. Their big debate is what 26-mile corridor, right? Because some of the commissioners rightfully so want to, hey, we need to put infrastructure here because new companies don't come in and say, get it ready. If it's not ready, they aren't going to come in.
Right.
That being said, Magna, that project started this big and now it's that big. So I know there's not enough people in St. Clair County to be employed there. So there could be Sanilac County residents that are just driving down to St. Clair, Michigan for that job. But at Magna is going to be massive. It's like 3 or 4 times what they originally thought because they decided to expand electric vehicle production over in Auburn Hills. GM did. And Magna supplies some of the components for that. So that's where I get into some of this. And, there's people that probably work in St. Clair County that might say, hey, I'd rather live up in Sanilac County, right? Maybe a little more rural, maybe the affordability is better, et cetera. So, we have a lot of, we have a very good chamber of commerce in St. Clair County, and that's a Sanilac County resident. I mean, Delma Castillo lives up here. So there's a lot of, I think, potential synergies between those two counties that could really help.
Thank you.
And I'll be here to answer further questions, but with that, I was going to let Jared Jabort come up for a moment, and then we'll let Mary come up. Getting out of the aisles.
Hi, everyone. Good to see some of you again. Good to see the new faces. So I am part of the Agriculture and Ag Business Institute with Michigan State. I have statewide responsibilities in the feedlot beef systems aspect. So I'm part of the MSU beef team, just fielding general beef questions and doing general education. Over the last year, I've done quite a bit more beef education on the youth side compared to my first year during COVID. I was able to get out and about and actually interact with some of the 4-H PCs within our district, as Jerry was talking about, doing some digestive dissections with kids. We did some educational stuff as far as nutrition and feed selection for fair projects for those kids that are doing feeder calves or choosing to do market steer projects. So some educational talks on that. Did a really good talk at 4-H Exploration Days on main campus for any of the youth that decided to attend that. So those are some of the youth things, partnering with like Farm Bureau to help with Project Red in both St. Clair County and Sanilac County. So we get a lot of 4th graders to come around and I take the opportunity to teach them about beef production. I mean, a lot of them are so removed from the farm. It's just a great opportunity to connect with them and share the story of what we do. Besides that, I'm continuing the feedlot educational series for our cattle feeders in the area. We've been having that in Kingston over at Biagio's, so producers can come in, have a meal, hear from our speakers, some of those being industry stakeholders, different groups like that. Besides that, I continue to stay involved on campus with research too, so we can bring new information for our producers. Recently finished up a project investigating some of the beef on dairy crossbreeding that's been a hot topic in the beef sector, to see how those cattle will perform compared to a lot of the Holstein steers that are typically fed in this area because of the number of dairies that we have. We're just getting that data all compiled and starting to share that with our producers. So they've been very happy with those results. besides that, continue to put out other educational material, articles and stuff of that nature. So I've been fairly busy. Also took over the ultrasound program from another one of my colleagues. So I've been actually talking with our fair board. We're thinking about trying to add in a carcass component to our beef cattle show so that we can educate kids about what's under the hide too. So how that translates to beef quality in the product that we actually consume. So just further their education on beef production as well. So some of the things that I've been busy pursuing over this last year.
With all of your experience in the beef industry in the state and the county, what would you say the general health of that industry is right now? Is beef production right where it should be? Is it low? Is it high?
I'd say the beef industry is doing very well. Prices are really competitive. Obviously, inputs have been going up as far as fertilizer and feed costs and stuff like that. So likewise, we have seen an increase in beef prices so that they can remain profitable or at least competitive. So that's been good. Like I said, we've kind of started to see a shift in, especially I would say in this area. Like I said, the number of dairies that we have here, a lot of the people feeding cattle are feeding Holstein steers or dairy steers. And this beef crossbreeding scheme on the dairies has kind of shifted the type of cattle that we're feeding. So that's been something new, but otherwise I would say it's been going well. We'll have to see how new trends go as far as consumption and whatnot, but it seems like it's going well.
Okay, very good.
Jared, I was sharing with a couple commissioners before our meeting today in the world news last night. There was a big push over in Holland, not Holland, Michigan, Holland, the country, to cut acreage in half and cut beef in half. And it's really going to affect worldwide. And that pushes, from what I gathered from the information they gave last night, they're trying to push that same agenda over onto the United States. Have you had any?
I haven't heard that. And like I said, our consumption of beef still
It's
remains
because of the nitrogen,
strong.
because of the
And exports remain really strong for the amount of beef that we produce. I mean, we've been a leading country for years as far as efficiency for beef production. I mean, people are trying to learn from us, model what we do because we do it so efficiently, and we're able to capitalize on export markets to countries that want high quality beef. So I haven't seen that yet, but
you
maybe
probably
something
Google it. It was on the news last
yeah,
night.
maybe something to
And it may
keep an eye out.
never happen, but there's a big push for that country to do that.
Yeah, or I would say some of the European systems are very different than
Oh, sure.
how we raise beef here.
Thank you.
Any further questions?
Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry.
Thanks, Jerry.
The other, if you go to any of our educators, if you just put in Google, put in MSU extension and put Jared DeBoric or put in any other educator's name, off to the right, you're going to see all the articles they've written. You can just click on a link, and like Jared's not been here very long at all. And there's probably, I don't know, 30 or 40 articles out there. It's a lot, maybe, it's a lot. And I had a couple like, don't let performance of cattle get stuck in the mud. It's like if you don't care for the pen right, what it can cause to you in lost yield and extra feeding. And so there's just a very, very specific, this year, Jared's colleagues presented at Thumb Ag Day. That's always been ag side only. This year we added livestock to that. This year, Thumb Ag Day was very well received. The ag community, we do air every week. We have a kind of a breakfast during the growing season. We have a podcast that folks can join. So we're trying to be very attentive to farmers and be where they need us to be, not vice versa. Mary, hi. Mary, come up.
I'll also invite Chance and Savannah to come up too. Savannah is our current senior ambassador for 4-H. And 4-H is not only just the animals that you hear a lot of people think about. 4-H is only the fair. Wrong. 4-H encompasses everything. If you think of it, 4-H doesn't. Currently, right now, I am over at Port Sanilac schools, Carsville Port Sanilac schools, and we have 35 youth that are learning archery. 35 youth in one gymnasium is a lot going on, but we are teaching them the safety and how to handle themselves properly in 4-H and properly out and listening, and we're making sure that they get those basics. So Savannah and Chance, Savannah will tell you what 4-H has brought in her. She has done so much in a short amount of time. This young woman is
She is.
amazing. Chance is also going to be running as an ambassador, correct?
Yep.
This year, he ran for fair ambassador last year.
Yes.
So, but he's spreading his wings and he's going to follow his sister in her footsteps, hopefully. So go ahead, Savannah, tell them what 4-H has done for you.
That is a very long list, and that is probably larger than I have time to discuss here today. I've learned definitely a lot of skills. When I started in 4-H, just being able to stand up here today and talk to you would absolutely terrify me. There would be no way that I could come up here today. And I'm sure some of you have seen that if you've been on the fairgrounds and seen some of the things I have done, then you know some of that. I had a huge opportunity to go to 4-H National Congress in Atlanta, Georgia. That was approximately 850 kids representing 22 states in the U.S. territory of Puerto Rico. And I was one of 17 proud Michigan delegates that were able to go to that.
Very good. And Chance, what has 4-H done for you?
Well, I definitely would have thought I've been being able to do this. And it has improved my life greatly with skills. I can speak a lot better than I was when I was little because of 4-H. It's very fun and a good thing to do.
Yeah, very good. Yes.
Yeah.
Is there any questions from the commissioners or?
Well, not everyone in the room knows Savannah and her brother.
Right.
And I want to tell you, Jared and I were part of interviewing both of these young people for the last couple of years. And the first year they came to us, Savannah couldn't get a word out of her mouth. But inside that shell, there was a ton of energy and a ton of knowledge. And then we interviewed her this last year, right? When she ran, and totally different person. And she come to life, and we couldn't get her to be quiet. But and her brother had so many things and attributes, both of them. And through 4-H, you've done a tremendous job. And I want you people to know that these kids have changed in 2 years to become great resources for our 4-H and ambassadors, and they do a great job for 4-H, and I appreciate that. And you both have a lot of talent, and you have a great future ahead of you. So, would you agree with that, Jared? Yeah.
Are you related to them?
No. Didn't know them at all.
Referring to the part about keeping her quiet.
Oh, yeah. She could be related there, maybe.
What's your favorite part of 4-H? Is there one thing or just everything in general, what you learn?
Me go first. For me, it's really all of it. I'm a people person and I absolutely love to learn. And being in 4-H, there's a numberless amount of opportunities for any age, any person, any background, any disability. There's absolutely nothing that can stop you. And you can learn anything and you can start from ground zero. And there are so many resources and people that will help you along with that. So I just love helping others because 4-H has improved my life so much. And the motto is to make the best better. So I love to use my best to help others best be better, which 4-H has taught me to be able to do that.
And
Thank you.
they recently went for training up in Roscommon this past weekend. Did you go for rifle?
Rifle. We went for rifle
Yep.
training.
Oh,
And
very
in
good.
January, we also went for hunting and wildlife training. So both of which we're now certified in.
Yep. So they're also helping me get that archery and our hunting and wildlife program back up and running and getting it out into the schools and educating. So we will be also offering our local kids here in Sandusky over spring break, hunting, wildlife and shooting sports over at Maple Valley, in the old gymnasium cafeteria. So I'm sure all of you, and it's free, everything's free. Come and learn. So, and then I'm also working with the Parks and Rec this summer too, on offering STEM during summer activities.
It always has seemed to me a good place for kids to check out career possibilities. You know, if they don't like it, they can move on to something else.
Absolutely,
It's a great
absolutely.
program.
Yep, and it's a safe place to learn.
Yep.
Yep. So, any other questions? All right, we appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Yeah. I don't want the ending here.
Okay. Moving on, I see nothing for 13A, 13B, or 14. We do have a resolution for the Lexington Park Accessibility Project. It would have been read at our last finance meeting, so if someone wanted to make a motion or read the total resolution, feel free.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution. Support.
Like your style, Roger.
I went through a cough and jag on the way over here this morning, and I don't know if I'd make it through it.
We have a motion to approve the Lexington Park Accessibility Project resolution from Commissioner Ballard, support from Commissioner Moody. Is there discussion?
I'll just explain what this is. The Spark grant that has become available through the DNR state of Michigan. The minimum, I believe, was 100,000 and the maximum was $1 million. And what we're looking at doing is replacing the pedestrian bridge that connects the north side and the south sides of Lexington Park with a wider ADA compliant bridge that we would actually be able to move our equipment back and forth also. And the one that's there now is not ADA compliant. The approach slopes are not the correct grade. This project will include paved pathways that would connect it to the playground, the parking on the north side, and then allow them to come over and use the bathhouse and the new ADA compliant bathroom that we added last year on the south side of the park, as well as the new boardwalk down on the south side that allows wheelchair users to go down and sit up on the bluff of Lake Huron. And there's a 12 by 16 foot pavilion down there where that'll shade them from weather, sun, whatever. That's already been done. This grant will also include 2 camp cabins that will be ADA compliant, and they'll be out on somewhat on the bluff. They have to be back from the high water mark. And there's a lot involved in that. But that total project, if I remember correctly, was about $516,000. So this resolution is part of that whole process of getting that grant hopefully successfully.
Good summary, Roger. Is there any other discussion related to the resolution? Okay, hearing none, I need a roll call vote, Leslie.
Commissioner Heberlein?
Yes.
Commissioner Moody?
Yes.
Chairman Black?
Yes.
Commissioner Sarcella?
Yes.
Commissioner Ehart?
Yes.
Commissioner Ballard?
Yes.
Commissioner Lee?
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Thank you, Leslie.
You're welcome.
Okay, at this time, we will move into committee reports and we will start with Commissioner Ballard.
Oh, let's see. This Friday, I have a Michigan Works meeting in the pier. Parks, I did find out late last week that the second round of the Spark grant is going to be pushed back to summer due to the overwhelming response of the first round. They did award 21 grants. City of Marlette was one that received one. I believe that was for $393,000. They had well over 400, close to 500 applicants. So I'm sure they were overwhelmed and things were already moving slowly in regards to grants anyways. But we're going to be applying in that second round for Lexington Park. I think that's it in that regard. I did want to mention too, this weekend, if you like breakfast out, Saturday, the 11th, the Lamont Township Fire Department has a breakfast at the Lamont Township Hall. I believe that starts at 9 o'clock. And then on Sunday, the Masonic Lodge in Marlette has a breakfast that starts at 9 o'clock. Very good breakfast. My wife highly recommends them to me every time they have them, so she doesn't have to cook breakfast. So if you can make it, attend them. They're good causes. That's it.
Roger, do you think the big interest in the grant opportunities through the DNR is because of the increased usage of parks through the pandemic? And maybe a lot of counties are finding out that there is something really important that they need to be investing in?
Absolutely. And a big part of this one is there was no match requirement. We did decide to put I believe it was 45,000 towards ours. It helps a little bit in your scoring, but there is no match required. The city of Marlette, I do know they put 10,000 towards it. but that's a pretty cheap investment for almost 400,000.
Right.
But absolutely, park usage is up, and it has been the last 2 years for sure. Ours have been growing every year. I don't know, probably the last dozen years. They were a little flat for a while, but we've seen attendance grow dramatically, and it looks like this year is going to be busy again.
Well, it's good that you guys have been putting that solid effort in before it was the cool thing to do.
Yeah. We have 2 other grant projects in the works right now. Hopefully Forester Park, that playground project will be starting before we open. It won't be done, but it'll be hopefully started. And we have another big project that Evergreen, a $700,000 project.
Do we want to tell about that? 'Cause that's exciting.
That's going to really change the landscape up there. That includes a kayak canoe launch on the Cass River. We hope to become a part of that water trail. That helped us score. We've actually been awarded that grant. We're just waiting for the release of funds. Quite a bit more playground equipment. There will be some down by the big pavilion. And up by the pond, there will be more playground equipment. One thing I'm excited about up there is they call it a wiggle round, and it's a merry-go-round that's level with the ground. Wheelchair occupants can actually roll on there and get to spin around. Some more playground equipment, 2 pavilions up by the pond for just picnic users. They're not going to be anything we're going to rent out. It's just a first come, first serve. 9-hole putt-putt golf course and pathways that will connect all of those features up at the top, and then also parking and a pathway down at the kayak launch. So a lot going on out there.
Will be a tourist destination when you're.
That's kind of been my goal. I've been on this board for 24 years.
Well, as we heard Jerry talking about, I mean, our proximity to some jobs does position San Luis County nicely for people that want that rural beauty to live in an area like this. Jobs are relatively close. And as we improve our parks and we get more tourism, it's a benefit for the county.
Yep. Oh, one other thing too, we did receive the ARPA funding from the county for the septic extension at Evergreen. We were hoping to get that done before we opened. It wasn't going to be possible. So we've put that off till the end of this camping season. We'll put that out for bid in probably July so we can get moving on that. Yeah, we've got probably about $1.5 million or 1.6 million in projects in the works.
That'd be good. Appreciate your efforts on that.
Yeah,
Roger.
the job that you guys do is just, and the stuff that's going on at these parks are just amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah. With, I believe you're the chairman of the, yeah, with your direction and your board.
Appreciate it.
The employees that.
It's almost a full-time job.
I believe.
I think it is full-time, right? Yeah.
We'll have to hire 2 people. When
I'm
I'm
sure that the citizens go ahead and outside of the county.
So if you want to run a campground spot, go for the middle of the week. I think the last I was told, Evergreen had, this was a week and a half ago, had 19 water and electric sites left, the 10 rustic and 1 cabin for Memorial Weekend.
Yeah.
Out of 173 sites. So, yeah, they're busy.
Very good. Thanks, Roger. Gary?
Yes, as you eloquently already brought up and detailed our meeting, the planning commission meeting yesterday with Brookett and Reader. I don't think I need to expand on that anymore. This morning we had a personnel committee meeting to backfill a position that was left vacant at Forester Township. We moved forward with that, recommended we backfill that position immediately. And then tonight we have a Parks and Recreation meeting. So that's my quick report.
Hey, Gary.
Amazing. Thank you, Gary.
The open positions at Forester Park for an office manager. So if anybody knows anybody that might be interested, keep your eyes open for an ad in the paper and posting on the website.
MSU Extension Advisory Board sat on that, but Jerry pretty much covered everything. But Jeff Dawson is a new member from our county, so we're glad to have those positions filled. And then yesterday was a Zoom via hotspot meeting with MAC on their Ag and Tourism Board. So that was a pretty good meeting yesterday, about 2.5 hours long. Their first one of the year, and we had a NACO presentation. So National Association of Counties, their liaison for government affairs presented on the 2023 Farm Bill. So that's something that we as a rural county need to be aware of and what's going on with that, because the Farm Bill comes up every 5 years. So there's some serious funding that gets decided in all of that. And Debbie Stabenow, Senator from Michigan, who's retiring, was the chair of that board. And so there's some concern with what may happen with that position moving forward, what kind of recognition Michigan will get. But her, in talking about rural and agriculture, very interesting how that all intertwines, is the budget that she requests is about 90% in regards to commodities. So everything related to the SNAP programs that was discussed earlier, and less than 6% is agriculture. So I found that kind of unique. You think it'd be kind of flipped around in the area that she works with. So they're hoping that they can get more money coming more towards agriculture in regards to that. And also they talked about rural policy development, and in the Farm Bill as well is broadband. I don't know how that fits in that category, but that's where it's at right now. And so they're hoping maybe they can get broadband separated, because obviously what we want in Michigan, particularly in Sand Lake County, we see it here all the time, is there's not enough internet access. And so they're hoping that maybe the funding for that, right now they're claiming it's not going to change. They're hoping that potentially we can persuade them to maybe separate it. That doesn't make sense to have something in regards to the Farm Bill. It really doesn't have anything to do with that. And so then MAC priorities, we also talked about that as well, because they wanted to, it was a good attended meeting yesterday. There's about half of the 83 counties are represented on that board, and Open Meetings Act discussion on that. And they're trying to see if they're going to move a bill forward on that. So they will, the ultimate goal is to have, if a board has a quorum, you can participate and vote remotely as long as that board has a quorum.
In person.
In person, yes. So if there's an in-person quorum, then someone that is, if a snowbird wants to be on a board and they're in Florida, they can still participate as long as the board has a quorum. And the problem with the bill that was supposed to pass last year is they had it set up where each board had to vote on that every meeting to allow that to happen. So that was going to be too cumbersome. So they're trying to look at probably getting that through potentially. And then a big one priority that we need to be aware of is the revenue sharing, because the states, what they do or what happens at the state level is depending on who's in charge of, the governor's office and so forth. The money gets distributed every year from the revenue sharing based on taxes, and they kind of just do it at a whim. So this year we're going to give the county 1%. Next year we might give you 3%. So they're trying to come up with a formula that'll make it consistent year, because it's very difficult for the counties to budget when they don't know what they're going to get. And so doing a couple of things. One, they want to try to enact a law where it'll be mandatory that they do a set percentage every year, and also create a trust fund. So then that money is going to be there all the time, no matter what they decide to do. So that's just a couple of things coming from the egg and from NACO along with MAC. So MAC is a really important organization that we need to at least, pay attention to what comes through in the emails from them, because there's things that, if we make a phone call to somebody, it can be beneficial for our counties and townships, because all that money trickles down to everybody.
Do you see a need, Bill, for a greater involvement from, say, our own county board on some of these MAC boards? I know you serve on Ag and Tourism. I'm with the MAC 7th District to try to kind of revitalize that. If we had one more commissioner involved in another area, do you think that would be beneficial?
If there's, I don't know what all the openings are for the other boards. I know the Ag and Tourism Board, I believe right now is full, and I've been on that obviously because of Ag and Tourism. It fits right into what our county is all about. Most certainly, just because they're pretty influential and they've been around for a long, long time, and anything we can do, and fortunately you don't have to attend. This is a Zoom meeting. It was a little discombobulated yesterday because I'm doing it with the phone and with the computer and everything in the vehicle. I wasn't driving, though. It's okay. I wasn't driving. But the point is, yeah, it would certainly be beneficial just because it keeps our ear out there. And so we can find out, here, Nathan, you need to call these guys about this, or, sharing something with the townships that we serve. Whatever comes through can certainly be beneficial, because we're talking about dollars, what's available.
I think those updates that you identified are super important too. I looked at my weekly update from MAC and was immediately able to share a grant opportunity with a local fire department or whatever municipality happened to be there. And so they are a great resource. And it was nice we were able to support and honor them on their anniversary in the last week. So.
Yeah, that's all I have.
Bill, did I read correctly on the tax revenue sharing and concerning that trust fund they want to establish? Is it currently set up so any any excess now goes back into the general fund
Mhm.
and unspent, however.
Yeah, exactly. So it's at their whim versus, I mean, it's only fair that the counties get X amount of dollars every year and they know what it is, and then they know that it can be there and can include it in their budget.
Right. It's hard to budget when we don't know what we're getting.
Exactly.
Thank you, Bill. Christine?
Well, I haven't attended any committee meetings because there hasn't been any. But this Friday, I was invited back up to Huron County for the Council on Aging. They were going to have a couple of guest speakers. So that depends on the weather Friday. We get all that snow. I'm not driving all the way up to Bad X. I have a Child Abuse Prevention Council meeting on Monday, the 20th. And the Council of Aging is meeting that same day here in Sanilac County. It's the first meeting of the year. And on the 21st, I have a health board meeting. That's it.
Thank you, Christine. So I had a personnel committee meeting with Commissioner Heberling this morning. He already addressed that. We had a planning commission meeting after our last BOC meeting. At that meeting, we reviewed some ordinances, and there was some contention related to the process that was used, and I think we requested some extra information on that. So that's all I have. Evans?
All my committees start back up again next week. Nothing new to report from my end on those.
And we're gonna have to start getting some more committees around here.
Mine are all staggered with the same week.
Yeah.
Let's start. January was, March, February was easy. March is back up again.
I'm just saying.
I just had one, the medical care facility or the DHHS one. Currently they have 70 residents. At the time of the meeting, which was on February 27th, they had one COVID case and 0 for our staff and 0 residents. So they're doing a pretty good job over there. And I have one Michigan works on Friday.
Does MCF provide you their agendas and documentation, or like if there's an administrator report, are they providing you all that?
Yep.
Okay, very good. That's it, John?
Yep.
All right, thank you. Appreciate everyone's committee reports. That'll move us into unfinished business where there is none, so that we will go to new business, and we will start with FA 200-22.
Sanilac County Board of Commissioners hereby approves the letter of agreement between Sanilac County Mental Health Authority and Sanilac County Representative Payee Public Guardian effective October 1st, 2022 to September 30th, 2023. Further approves contract addendum number 1 and authorizes the board chairman to sign.
Support. I have a motion from Finance Chairman Sarkella, support from Commissioner Ballard. Is there discussion on the topic? Hearing none, all in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Moving on to FA 024-23, approval of 2023 current claims.
Sanilac County Board of Commissioners hereby approves the payment of current claims for 2023 identified on the accounts payable report dated February 28th, 2023 for the general bank account in the amount of $180,336.13.
Support.
I have a motion from Commissioner Sarkella, support from Commissioner Lee. Is there discussion on the topic? Hearing none, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Moving on to FA 025-23, budget adoptions, amendments, appropriations, and transfers.
Sanilac County Board of Commissioners hereby approves amendments, transfers, and establishes the following accounts as listed.
I have a motion from Finance Chairman Sarkella. Is there support?
Support.
And support from Commissioner Ehart. Is there discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Moving on to FA 026-23, adoption of the amended budget shortfall policy.
Sanilac County Board of Commissioners hereby adopts the amended language to the budget shortfall policy as follows.
Support. I have a motion from Finance Chairman Sarkella, support from Commissioner Heberling. Is there discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Moving on to FA 027-23, adoption of the amended mileage policy.
Sanilac County Board of Commissioners hereby adopts the additional language to the mileage policy as follows.
Support. Motion from Finance Chairman Sarkella, support from Commissioner Moody. Too many names to remember now. All those, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. That'll take us to FA 028-23, adoption of the amended promotion selection procedure policy.
Sand Lake County Board of Commissioners hereby adopts the amended language to the promotion selection procedure policy as follows.
Support.
We have a motion from Finance Chairman Sarkella, support from Commissioner Ballard. Is there discussion on the topic? Hearing none, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Moving on to FA 029-23, adoption of the amended employee recognition and special event policy.
Sand Lake County Board of Commissioners hereby adopts the additional language to the employee recognition and special event policy as follows.
Support.
I have a motion from Finance Chairman Sarkella, support from Commissioner Lee. Is there discussion on the topic? Hearing none, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Moving on to FA 030-23, adoption of the amended overtime and accumulation of compensatory time.
Sand Lake County Board of Commissioners hereby adopts the amended language to the overtime and accumulation of compensatory time policy as follows. Or
We have a motion from Finance Chairman Sarkella, support from Commissioner Ehart. Is there discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Moving on to FA 031-23, adoption of the amended meal allowance policy.
Sand Lake County Board of Commissioners hereby adopts the amended language to the meal allowance policy as follows.
I have a motion from Finance Chairman Sarkella. Is there support? I have support from Commissioner Ballard. Is there discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Moving on to FA 032-23, authorization of lift step increase freeze prosecutor's office.
Sand Lake County Board of Commissioners hereby authorizes the freeze be lifted for Assistant Prosecuting Attorney Robert Hayboyer and to move from a pay grade 12 step 5 to a pay grade 12 step 6 on his anniversary date of September 7th, 2023.
Support.
I have a motion from Finance Chairman Sarkella, support from Commissioner Heberlin. Is there discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Moving on to FA 033-23, approval of memorandum recycling center.
Sand Lake County Board of Commissioners hereby approves the memorandum of understanding between Sand Lake County Board of Commissioners and the Sand Lake County Recycling Center for the purpose of expediting the filling of vacancies at the recycling center and further authorizes the board chairman sign the necessary documents.
I have a motion from Finance Chairman Sarkella, support from Commissioner Ehart. Is there discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Moving on to FA 034-23, approval of memorandum sheriff's office.
Sand Lake County Board of Commissioners hereby approves a memorandum of understanding between Sand Lake County Board of Commissioners and the Sand Lake County Sheriff's Office for the purpose of expediting the filling of vacancies and further authorizes the board chairman sign the necessary document.
Support.
I have a motion from Finance Chairman Sarkella, support from Commissioner Lee. Is there discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Moving on to FA 035-23, approval of contractual law enforcement services agreement.
Sand Lake County Board of Commissioners hereby approves a non-expiring agreement for contractual law enforcement services between the Village of Port Sand Lake and the Sand Lake County Sheriff's Office and further authorizes the board chairman sign the necessary agreement.
Support.
I have a motion from Finance Chairman Sarkella, support from Commissioner Moody. Is there discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Moving on to FA 036-23, approval of contract and agent of record for the health insurance broker services.
Sand Lake County Board of Commissioners hereby approves a contract with Gibson Insurance Agency Incorporated and Brian Bellware as the agent of record for the health insurance brokerage services for a 3-year contract beginning March 1st, 2023, and an annual cost of $49,296 effective July 1st, 2023, with a 5% increase per year with the option to renew for 2 additional years and further authorizes the board chairman sign the necessary contracts.
Support.
I have a motion from Finance Chairman Sarkella, support from Commissioner Ballard. Is there discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. That completes new business. Just so everyone here knows, we don't just do things without talking about them. What happens is there's a committee of the whole meeting after every BOC meeting. So 2 weeks ago, every one of those items you just heard us approve was discussed and approved at finance. It affords the board 2 weeks to consider what we approved 2 weeks ago. So if nobody here had any questions or concerns about it, when we get to the following BOC meeting, it's more of a matter of procedure.
And once in a while, you will see something go through for immediate approval, and that's because it was approved for immediate action at a finance meeting, prior meeting.
Yeah, and that's typically, sometimes in the world of government, we have to follow proper procedure, but sometimes there's a sale on a radio or something, and we don't want to lose out on an opportunity to save the taxpayers money. So we'll do immediate approval on certain items. Okay, that concludes new business. That brings us into general public comments. Any general public comments today? Cole, how are you today?
I'm good. How about yourself?
Good.
Good afternoon, commissioners. I'm Cole Wood, as most of you know, I'm the field representative for Congresswoman McLean. I just wanted to go through a quick legislative update, if that's all right.
Absolutely.
All right. So just a couple of recent bills that Lisa McLean signed on to. There's one regarding the Arlington Cemetery. They've been trying to change it so only specifically certain combat veterans can be buried there. Lisa just introduced a bill to expand it to all veterans. Why exactly they want to make those changes, we don't know, but we're working on expanding the cemetery as well, just so it can actually hold everybody. She reintroduced the Stop CCP Act, or the Chinese Communist Party Act. That puts travel and financial sanctions on the CCP as well as their families. We're trying to do all we can to combat China. There's some other bills that are going to be coming through in the following weeks that are going to be basically banning them from owning so much agricultural land as what they own. I believe currently it's 11% of all agricultural land in America is owned by the Chinese government or its affiliates. And 9% of the land is owned by the CCP. So it's just an astonishing number. When I first heard that, it pretty much blew my mind. I look kind of like you over there right now.
We just take it back. They're over there. They can't do anything.
Is that bill taking it back, diminishing that, or stopping it from any further?
The bill last Congress was stopping it from any further. I don't know what exactly the language will be for this next bill. If there'll be a process for reclaiming the land that's already been claimed by the CCP, already been purchased. We'll see exactly what happens. When that comes through, I'll try to come through with a better update with some more.
That's unbelievable.
It really is. A couple of bills that have passed recently in the House. There's the Rein In Act, which requires the Council of Economic Advisors and the Office of Management and Budget to submit inflationary impact statements on all of the executive orders that the Biden administration has signed. Anything regarding the impact on inflation, inflationary impact on the consumer price index, really just to get them to prove exactly how much of an impact that all of these measures that have been taken in the past 2 years have really had. We've seen record inflation the past couple of years, and the more proof we can get, the easier it is to combat it and maybe cut some more programs. As well, the Congresswoman is also now on the House Oversight Committee, so she has the power to call hearings as well as to investigate, and she does chair the Budget Committee as well. So she'll be going through all of the federal finances with a fine-tooth comb here. She actually has her first hearing Thursday at 2:00. If anybody else likes to watch C-SPAN as much as I do. There's also a couple other bills going in that did actually just pass, eliminating the requirement for the COVID vaccine for foreign travelers. Condemning the CCP's use of a high altitude surveillance balloon over U.S. territory. Obviously, that's a pretty big issue, especially with them going over military bases. And I know we had one shot down just over Lake Huron. I've been hearing conflicting reports on that one, whether or not that one was Chinese or if it was from another company. So hopefully I'll have some information. We've made multiple requests. We haven't gotten the most updated from the DoD yet, though. The Pandemic is Over Act, which terminates the public health emergency, but that does not end Title 42 restrictions. We've been getting some calls thinking that ends Title 42, which is just another immigration policy that helps us combat all the illegal aliens that are coming through. That does not end that specific restriction, but it ends pretty much everything else. Regarding the national debt, the debt ceiling has been reached. The Treasury is currently using extraordinary measures to prevent a debt crisis. Those expired June 5th. But we're hoping that we'll have the appropriations as well as everything sorted out before then. Speaking of appropriations, we do have community funded projects. The deadline for those is this Friday. I know we've submitted some for Sanilac County. I believe we submitted one for Port Sanilac for the break wall. But if there are any other requests, you can submit them online. It's fairly easy, or you can just talk directly to me. And all 12 appropriation bills that'll be coming through, Lisa and the rest of her party has dedicated to passing them all separately, which will hopefully increase the scrutiny on each spending bill. Since you brought up the farm bill earlier, I did also want to mention March 15th, next Wednesday, the Congresswoman will be holding a farm bill listening session. We're going to have a panelist as well as an open forum if anybody would like to come. It's going to be at 5570 North Road, North Street, Michigan, at Charlie Lewis's farm, or if anybody wants to RSVP, you can just let me know. It's going to start about noon. I'd love to have anybody there who feels like they might want to have some input on the next farm bill. I think that's about all I have. I did want to mention, you were asking about the housing grants earlier for Sanilac County.
Well, now I think John and I have been part of the planning commission. We've been talking about housing in Sanilac County. And it's because of the tax calculation from the state. And it's so high that, people are kind of shunned from building a home because of the tax thing. And so I don't know if that answers your question, but.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, if anybody who's having any problems with that, the USDA does have a rural development home loan section that I've heard from quite a few people is very helpful. They have fairly low interest loans or loans where you can put down a lot less of a down payment. I think it's something down to 3.5%, something like that. If that is helpful.
And I think there's another program out there still at Fannie Mae that they pay the closing costs on it, like up to $5,000 and things. So that little research, maybe you know about that.
Yeah, there's I think there's like 15 different types of loans.
Yeah.
So I can't list them all off the top of my head, but
You can?
no, I can try though.
No.
But there's a lot of options out there. If anybody wanted to reach out to me, I can help connect them to the right stuff too.
You said there's federal funds available and someone to Port Sanilac. What kind of projects in particular?
For the big wall, for the repair and the dredging as well.
So can you find me about 6.3 million and I can put a park in at Delaware? Just send me, you got my email, send me the paperwork and I'll sign it and we'll get going.
Gotta do, Cole, buy you a cup of coffee.
It's gotta be done by Friday, Roger.
That's it. I can do it.
I was gonna say, oh yeah, our deadline is Friday. We did extend it from last Friday because we do actually still have a few openings left.
That's probably why.
That could be. So if you want to submit, feel free.
Okay.
We'll take a look at it and see what we can do.
Shoot me an email where how to look into that, would you? Please.
Yeah, no problem.
I think, did you guys receive an email from her office pertaining to what he's discussing with those
Yes.
opportunities?
Yeah, I think it's last week.
I probably did.
Yeah.
With a couple hundred other ones.
Yeah, well, I hear you. So.
I try to read them all.
Yeah, we do have the weekly newsletter that is really helpful. It keeps most people up to date as well. And you can also sign up for that on our website. I think it's where we first posted about the community funded projects.
Can't believe
Just to try to make everybody aware. But I'll shoot you an email.
Okay.
Did anybody have any questions for me on any legislation or anything else?
I'll send you back the schedule for this summer.
Yeah, that'd be perfect. I got my dates mixed up. There's still, the calendar was carrying over from last year, so that's why it took me a little bit to make it here. I ended up coming to an empty courthouse a couple times.
Well, we appreciate you being here to give us an update, Cole, and tell Lisa we said keep up the good work.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Don't,
Thank you, guys.
don't forget to set your clock ahead this weekend.
Is that this weekend? That's
forward now.
Oh,
Yeah.
Not spring
Thanks,
back.
Cole.
right.
Okay, are there any further public comments today?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Scott Westbrook. I'm a resident of Fremont Township, and this is regarding the River Bend Wind Project. But my question today is, who watches over the elected officials in regards to performing their duties? I'm asking this question because 4 of our 5 board members are under contract with Liberty, which has made them ineffective in their elected positions. And I've been outspoken because I think this project of putting 31 offshore sized wind turbines in our township in 20 square miles is unsafe. Because I've been one of the unspoken persons involved in this, I have a lot of township residents coming to me and asking me questions, and I don't have the answers. And some of the things that have come up is the conflict of interest, the lack of notification, violation of the Open Meetings Act. So is there any advice or information I could get from you?
Mr. Westbrook, I'd be very cautious to get the Board of Commissioners too involved in that particular situation. I myself have heard hearsay about the issues that are going on down there. So I definitely cautious to take a stance on that issue. When you talk about who oversees the elected officials, it's everybody in this room. So, if we live in that township, it is our responsibility to oversee what those officials are doing in that township. We all share that responsibility. If you're looking for an entity of government that's going to come in and take a stance on that issue or make a change, to my knowledge, there is no one with that authority to do so.
Because that's a problem. We've got, I'll give you an example of one of the last things that's transpired is our township hired third-party engineering firm and to look over the special land use permit. Okay. They submitted that report, and that report was forwarded to Liberty, and Liberty's already responded to that report, and our planning commission has not received it yet. And that's the kind of things. And then this is one of the things that I received, or I was able to get a copy of the report, and one of the statements from, and this is from Liberty, there are 336 inhabited structures within 1 mile of a wind turbine, of which 69 are participating landowners and 267 are non-participating landowners. Those 267 non-participating landowners no longer have a voice in our township because of our conflicted board members. And that's criminal.
Can I say this? I totally agree with Chairman Black, but we don't know your bylaws. So in your bylaws, is that a conflict of interest? Legally,
I'm going to apologize. I didn't. This is my first meeting. You run a great meeting. I want to say that.
Thank you.
I appreciate all your efforts.
But before you go any farther, the township people that live in that township have to be the oversight.
Okay.
And you have to look at your bylaws. If you have 5 people on your board that are tied into those contracts, is that a conflict of interest? Because if your bylaws don't say that.
Okay.
Right.
I'm going to apologize. I really I'm a little bit on.
And I'm not taking anybody's side. I'm just.
But I have one copy, and I'm going to choose this gentleman because he represents our township. Am I correct? Yep. Okay. And if you would read right there. Our conflict of interest matches up with the MTA and the Michigan. I've compared the Little Red Book. You're probably familiar with what we call the Little Red Book. But that is a copy of our township conflict of interest that I presented to him. And I'm sorry I didn't have a copy for everybody. In that regards, I went through the special land use permit placements. 24 of the 50 turbines of this project are going on the land of those 4 conflicted board members. 1 short of half. And it says in there, it says that their due financial gain that is part of the, I kind of think that's a financial gain. I don't know. And there's other elements of the project that also gives them additional finances. Obviously, they've leased all their land. Our supervisor is providing the land for the substation if this project were to go through, so on and so forth.
Is that what it says?
And
I mean, I'm no lawyer, but the layperson, that looks.
I would also like to, that is the discussion by our board members at the November 22nd meeting regarding amendments that were proposed to balance out our zoning. When the height was increased to 700 feet to allow this project to move forward, there was no adjustment in the setbacks. So we had a zoning ordinance that was based on 500 foot or less wind turbines, similar to a lot of the ones that are in the northern part of the thumb. But that was an oversight, and our planning commission admitted to that, and I provided amendments, and it went through the planning commission, and they adjusted those. I mean, I started out saying they increased the height by 40%. The setback should have been increased by 40%. The planning commission come up with actually, I feel, a better solution, which was a multiplier. But ultimately that was turned down because we have board members that are under contract with Liberty that doesn't allow them to perform their elected duty. And that goes back to my question. It's like, who is the one that should be watching over these elected officials and their performance of their duty?
Well, Commissioner John Block said that the public has to go to every meeting. You guys have been checks and balances of it to voice your opinion and continue going to them. Everyone go to them, let your voices be heard, and then it might not seem that way now, but it's going to work.
Okay, my response to that would be, this was done during COVID.
Okay.
At the same time, when Huron County was dealing with Liberty and they were having their meetings via Zoom, our county was having them in person, and it basically was Liberty and our board, and our township officials. And they kept it quiet. And so we were fortunate enough to find, I mean, I don't think anybody will deny that we knew about wind in our township because we had two other companies come and go, put up their test towers, found out it wasn't going to work, and left. And then Liberty, let's say they showed up, okay, and and their thinking was if they went with larger and taller, that they could go with this project, and done it quietly. And most of the residents that we've contacted knew nothing about the extension of the footage from 500 to 700 feet. I would say they knew about wind, but not that extra extension. And that's what I'm directly opposed to. I do not think that's a safe project. So, any questions?
Frustrating.
Very,
very frustrating.
You're not.
When I just give you that, the 267, I mean, we're not a wealthy township, there's not a lot of deep pockets in our township to hire lawyers to fight. And, what about those people that are just trying to make ends meet and they want to say, they should be able to go to township officials and have a voice. We've lost that voice. And that's not right. That's not how our system's supposed to work.
I'm sorry for what you're going through, and you're not the first township that's gone through this. That's what we're trying to do here at the Board of Commissioners, is be open and have discussions. We've when Commissioner Wyatt was here, we had regular discussions about it's important to attend your township board meetings. This is, I mean, no entity of government can affect your life faster than the township in which you live. And so we try to bring that awareness. Our planning commission, as you heard earlier in the meeting, we're trying to bring viable, factual information to the township so they can make educated decisions. But there is no entity out there that is policing the issue that you're dealing with. And so it is up to you and your neighbors in your community to deal with that issue however you best can. And there unfortunately isn't anybody that's going to come and help.
Okay, thanks for the time. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Good luck.
I have a question.
Yep, just please state your name for the clerk.
My name's Kathy McGarvey. I am from Fremont Township. And basically, these are the concerns in our township in regards to these wind turbines. You know, you guys keep telling us, keep pressuring them, keep going to meetings, and you go to a meeting and you can't even get an answer out of our board. No answers. You walk away after making your comments, like I made a comment asking exactly where or how much money our township getting. You know, show the general public, show the residents what we are gaining as residents getting these in our community. Wouldn't talk to me. Get off, you know, start leaving the building. I get cornered by Patty Shin, which is our treasurer. And she basically told me we're getting over $2 million to our township. I asked her, show us, show the residents. I mean, we can't get no peace of mind in our township without this information. It's not just our township that's going to be affected by this. 12 of the 19 or the 31 that are going up in our township are going to be less than a half a mile away from the Worth Township residents. They have no say. They have no say. And there's multiple people that live down that road. I mean, Cribbins Road from Fisher to the end of our township. There are 12 to 13 of these towers going off, which is wrong. I asked about what happens if a well goes dry or gets contaminated. I was told by the township boss supervisor, Jeff Furness, that it actually is going to be left back to the county. County was the one who issued the permits to begin with. It's going to be their responsibility if the wells become contaminated or go dry. Now, I don't know if you guys are aware of that. I mean, I would assume that the people that own the property that are leasing it should be held responsible. Not the county, but the people that are putting these up. How can we issue permits in this county? I have to get a permit. I've got to give specifics, exactly what's going up in on my land that I'm going to put up before I can get issued a permit. We can't even get that information. You know, they're pushing our planning board and our township board to issue a permit for something that they won't even tell us what's going on. They don't know what kind of wind turbines these are. One day they're saying they're coming from China. The next day they're saying they're coming from England. You know, who knows? I mean, what kind of government are we living in where pushing the blame to somebody else because you guys, you know, this county originally issues permits. I have a big concern because I've lived in this area in Fremont Township for the last 40 years. There used to be a gravel pit in the middle of our square mile that had to be shut down years ago because every time you dug in that gravel pit, a lake was created on the corner of Galbraith Line and Cribbins Road. That lake was formed from people digging. I don't know if anybody in this township's aware of it. I mean, you guys are all too young to even know about it. I'm serious. These things, you know, it's not like they're just going to come in. You're putting 100 concrete truck loads of concrete for one of these towers in. Think about it. Think about how big that hole in that ground is going to be. Think about what happens if these things fall. Who's going to be liable? Saying like, how are they going to be liable? Because they issued the original permits?
It would Your township board is what sets the zoning standards.
Well, they're putting the zoning standards on you guys right now, and they won't change the laws because they don't want to be responsible. They just want the money.
That may or may not be true. I don't know. But at the end of the day, it's the township board that sets the zoning in the community, and we don't have any control over that.
Well, you guys issue them permits to go farther with this whole situation, don't you?
So
Doesn't the county have to issue? We were already told that the county issued the permits.
Nathan, are you aware of it? Permits?
Not aware of that.
So the county building department, I would presume, would have some permitting related to the construction of those turbines. But I think the main issue that you are currently embroiled in the township is a township issue because it's a zoning issue that you're dealing with. If the zoning states that wind turbines are allowed and they get built, it is the responsibility of the county building department to issue permits for those buildings, as long as they are engineered and meet the standards of, I'm not part of the building department here in the county, so I don't know.
Well, I can't get no information from the county.
Okay.
So that's kind of why I'm questioning. How can a county issue a permit to our township before, because the county has to issue the permit first. Then it goes to the township. And that's what the citizens of our township is trying to work at, finding a resolvable way for safety and health and everything else in our environment.
And it is your township board that sets that standard in your township.
Right. But we have no way, we can't get any information, we can't do anything because our board members all have their hands tied.
I know what you're saying. Yours and Jen's right. Your township sets the parameters.
Right.
Okay. So you're asking.
They're telling me that the county is going to be responsible.
Well, I know what you're saying. I get it. But what you're asking, and I appreciate what you're asking, your township is setting the parameters or the standards. Okay. So you're saying, then from there, Liberty, whoever comes to the county and gets a permit, you're saying, why don't we have the same standards or stricter standards than what your township is have? How can we give a permit if we don't have the same standards they do? I think that's what you're saying.
Right. Well, I guess.
And I don't have an answer to that.
I mean, I guess overall, the Sanilac County doesn't have, well, according to what you were talking about earlier today, there isn't a same agenda throughout the whole county in regards to solar or wind. I mean, there's no guidelines.
Each township has their own.
Yeah. So in Michigan, townships have the right to control zoning. Townships can give up the right to control zoning to a county if they so choose. An example of that would be Huron County, where Huron County has a zoning department, a zoning administrator. And this number won't be accurate, but it's somewhere roughly 50% of the townships are zoned under county zoning. So a lot of the issues that you guys are dealing with in that scenario would be handled at the county level. In Sanilac County, there are no townships that gave up their right to donate to the county. So every single municipality, every township, village, and city within Sanilac County does their own zoning. So our planning commission at the county level is an advisory board that provides information to them. We don't create ordinances the way that they do.
Well, I see what you're saying, but the thing is our zoning board is trying to look out for the people of the township. But in the end, say it is the township board members that have the final say.
They are the ones.
And I respectively, I would prefer that when we have a meeting up at the township, that those phones, every board member has their phone shut off because they're communicating with Liberty in the back. Liberty's texting them.
You can FOIA that.
And
You can FOIA that. Get what exactly they're texting. If they're using their cell phone during a meeting, you can FOIA their phone to get those texts from.
Oh. That's an option. That's an option. Thank you.
I'm just reading your ordinance right now. I'm trying to see what.
Well, thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it.
Can I say something?
Public comment? Sure.
Rella Hoffman. When you hear what they're all saying, it's all the same in Speaker Township. We didn't know anything about these turbines going up till like last April, maybe. Then all of a sudden we heard about them, so we had a meeting in Lynn Township to see what people knew. We had the hall packed. Nobody knew anything. Nothing about it. That's how secretive they were doing this. I've asked, you know how they put the meetings on the door to tell you what's happening when? They have 8 pages on there. Do you think everybody has all day long to stop by and see what's on there? No. I said, can you put a different color if it's about the meetings, board meetings, anything? No, can't do that. I said, why not? Can't do that. And they don't listen to us. When we're talking to them, like she said, on their phone, doing their work, talking to the person next to them, they don't listen. They don't care.
That's unfortunate.
It is. So what do? We had no chance, none.
Yeah, and that what you're describing is exactly why we encourage people to attend their township.
We
board.
couldn't.
Yeah, I understand. We can't control. I'm not suggesting that board did something nefarious because I don't have any evidence.
I
of that.
understand that, but
if
where do we go from here? Because they won't listen. Even if, I'm not just saying, because I don't want them. But if you guys were all sitting here on your phones, that'd be horrible, wouldn't it?
It sure would be.
Talking to each other, you know, whatever. That's wrong. That is not your job. We pay them, right?
We do, and we certainly don't conduct ourselves that way, and it's unfortunate.
Right.
If your board is doing that, that's unfortunate.
Well,
But
we
there's-
had Liberty for information. I emailed, called. That was last June. You think I heard from them? No.
Right.
We'll get back to you. That's all we hear.
They're a developer aiming to make money.
Oh, I know it.
They're going to do
I
what
know
they
it.
can to make that happen.
Well, like they said, the wells, who's gonna pay for that? The township? Liberty? What if my well goes bad? Who's paying for it? I'm not, because somebody else is getting a well. If I can't sell my home, who's paying for that?
I understand those concerns, but
What if somebody gets hit by one of those things? What? Who's gonna pay for that?
that's why it's important that the township board zone it properly.
We wish they would.
I know.
That's what we're trying to do here.
And if these conflicts exist, then this is an example of why conflicts are a problem.
Well, we're having a board meeting tonight, 7 o'clock, Speaker Township. You want to see how they act? All of you are welcome. The more the merrier. Because they don't listen to us.
Appreciate you sharing your concerns.
Yep.
Is there further public comment today?
I just have one thing on that issue. Our building department does not issue any permits on any of that until there is a land use permit issued by your township. So they have no involvement.
So the special land use permits that have been provided, but they're not accepted yet. Until they're accepted, nothing happens at the county,
Right.
is what you're saying.
Yep.
Okay.
That's all I know, and I just got that information.
And that's
That makes sense to me.
and that's standard for building a house. You can't build a house in a township without a land use permit. So you seek your land use permit. That's the township's role is that zoning, right? And then they're handling that. The county then issues a building permit once they receive a zoning permit from township.
They're limited too.
Is there any further public comment today? Seeing none, we're going to move on. I see no need for closed session. Nothing further to come before the board today. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Support.
I have a motion from Commissioner Ballard, support from Commissioner Heberlein to adjourn at 2:53. All in favor, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.
Okay, Ms. Darby, can you spell your last name?
It is.
ARV.
As bad.
All right.
They instructed their meeting.
I don't have it. Sure, what I get. So when I get it.
I got that.
I feel.
LLA
For sure.
RELLA. Okay, that's what I.
I just kind of,
Got it.
oh, that's.
They're on. They're gonna get.
Trying to outline what I discussed as far as.
I would, and yes, there'd be.
I would be more comfortable there if I did that press release together.